Y'all, I'm so freaking excited about this conversation we're going to have. First of all, I don't have a script. It's all just inspired action, baby. Here we go. I had a plan for what I was going to release this week on the podcast, and we are changing it because this just feels like something that we need to talk about. And I'm so excited. I don't even know what the title is going to be. Obviously, there's going to be a title when you're clicking on it, but there are so many pieces of information, little nuggets of wisdom that you can pull from what we're going to talk about. And so buckle up, baby. Here we go. Let's dive deep into how to first and foremost stop fucking overthinking every single thing that you do in terms of these ideas that you have, these brilliant ideas that you have, these simple ideas that you have on how to grow your business. So many of us, especially if we are new to entrepreneurship or, it's not something that we were necessarily taught as voice teachers, music educators, which obviously I understand. Like I never was taught this either in college or anything. It feels kind of scary to write on our ideas and to take our ideas and bring them to life. That bridge between your idea and bringing it to life does not need to be 1 month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 1 year from when you last raised your rates. That shit just needs to go. You need to ride the wave of inspired action. When you get an idea, I want you to, as much as humanly possible, ride the idea. Give yourself the time, fuck your to-do list if you can, and see where that idea takes you, because you will be massively surprised how simple it is, how simple you can make it, right? It does not need to be complicated. I'm going to share a story about what I did today that's a perfect example of this and why I wanted to share this today, because let's talk about riding the wave of inspired action, okay? Today is the first day that I am back in my office after a very long plague of sicknesses that swept through my household, through every male that is in my household, which is my husband and my 2 boys. And somehow I miraculously did not get sick, but holy guacamole, was that a ride. And now we're back. And this is my first day back in the studio. I had a to-do list, okay? I had my to-do list. And the moment I sat down to do it, I started tackling this one thing, which was lesson planning for my choir tonight. My community choir that I run meets on Tuesday evenings. And, I have to do that. Tuesdays are lesson planning. Doesn't take me very long, but I have to make sure I have a plan for my choir. And I decided that I am going to prepare my choir to sing at the No Kings protest that is coming up in a couple of weeks. And this was actually a suggestion from some of the choir members, not even myself. They were the ones that were like, hey, we should sing at the protest. Why are there no singers? Why are we not singing? Why is there no music? Which is true. I've gone to the protest and there's no music, and it's just such a shame. So I was like, okay, perfect. You know what? I have a connection. Someone had just told me recently, who was actually an old choir member who lives in Boulder, that she started a different singing resistance group out there. And when I say different singing resistance group, what I mean is a singing resistance group that is essentially a mass movement that's starting here in America. If you have not followed Singing Resistance on Instagram, you gotta go and check them out. You probably have seen some of their videos circulating around because they started really going viral at the end of January, because this is a grassroots organization that started in Minneapolis. And as we all know, Minneapolis was a hot spot at the end of January with everything going on with the ICE raids. And what they did there, this singing resistance group that they created, is so fucking inspiring. I hadn't even realized at the time that this was what this was. I was following these videos just oh my God, Minneapolis, you are so amazing. They were essentially bringing thousands of people in the city, marching in the streets, singing in churches, singing outside of the hotels where ICE agents were staying, singing to them in the most positive, encouraging, inspiring, uplifting ways. right? Yes, we are using our voices for dissent, but it's really to unify and to come together and to uplift and inspire through singing and group harmony. Like, hello. Is there anything more fucking inspiring than that? No. In my opinion, no. The answer is no. And so I had been seeing these videos a few months ago, and I was really inspired by this. And, just like, yes, Minneapolis, I love you. Then my friend reaches out to me a week or two ago and is like, hey, I started a singing resistance group, in my county. I'm like, oh my gosh, wait, this is a thing. This is a freaking thing. Okay, I hadn't even realized that this is something that was starting to become a mass movement in America. And so, I'm lesson planning and I'm going through the Singing Resistance Songbook. That is a toolkit that they have a bunch of songs that you can, teach to your communities. And I'm like, this shit needs to be transcribed. I got to pull out my music notation and transcribe this. And so I have been transcribing all morning some of these beautiful songs that we are going to be sharing with our community. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a hot darn minute. I need to start a singing resistance group here in my community. Why am I excluding everybody in my community with, bringing my choir to this protest when everybody could be involved? This is the whole freaking point. This is so in alignment with who I am. It's so in alignment with the whole voice, with the big, beautiful noise choir. It was just like a dumb moment. It was a dumb moment. So I dropped my to-do list and I put this thing together so fast. And that's what I mean about inspired action. When you get an idea like that, where you're like, oh my God, wait a minute. Wait a hot darn minute. I need to do this right now. It's funny for me. I do have a fire under my ass because we have our rehearsal tonight. We have the protest next weekend. So we only have one weekend to pull this together. So there actually is like a timeliness to it, but let's just pretend that you don't, or not don't, that you do have, a little fire under your ass. If you don't already, if you don't have a timeliness to this, pretend like you do, because you will work so damn fast. You will work so damn fast. You will surprise yourself at how quickly you can make things happen. So let me tell you what I have done over the last couple of hours, and I want you to think about how you can utilize this in your teaching business, right? You can use this for, like what I did, a free community sing. Like that's what we're doing. We're doing a free community sing, literally at the freaking park. The park where there's a playground, right? You cannot get any more basic than that, okay? So maybe you do something like that. Maybe you do a group workshop. Maybe you want to put on a free workshop in your town. Maybe you want to go to your library and put on a singing workshop there. Maybe you want to collaborate with somebody in your town and you do like a kids camp and one of them does, a certain age group and you do another age group. Like whatever the fuck you want, okay? There's so many ways that you can do this as a singer and as a voice coach. Get creative, let the inspired ideas roll with this, okay? But here's really the step-by-step. Here's really all you need to make this happen as quickly as possible, okay? You need basically 3 things. And then there's 3 main things, and then there's things underneath those 3 main things. So the 3 main things that you need, number 1, a link. Right? You need a link of some sort. We'll get into that in just a second. Number 2, a flyer, because if we're really thinking about our community here, and I do want you to think about a community because I've talked about in a previous episode, like community is such a powerful way to grow your business. So let's really think about your community. Your community can be your in-person community as much as it can be your online community. Okay? So you need a flyer that really summarizes everything here. And then the third thing is email, if that's necessary. I'll get there as well, but email of some sort, like an email blast, again, to your community, to your list. It could be that you are obtaining emails so that you will then eventually email them. But, email is going to be a part of this whole thing. Okay. So now let's dive into the actual link and the flyer, because the fun things about these things, the link and the flyer, and especially the flyer, I always love pulling up, like making a flyer, because I'm like, I'm just going to make a flyer real quick. And then it's like, oh my God, there's so many things I need to put on here. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Where are we meeting? What time are we meeting? Like how do people sign up? All of those things. The flyer is the end result. It's the end result. You have to know all of these little things prior to making the flyer. So what are those things? The thing that you need to first and foremost have is, what is this thing? What is this thing? You need to have a clear and attractive description and title of what your thing is. Okay? 1 to 4 sentences, maybe a little bit more if you have room and it's necessary, but I really wouldn't do many more than 4 sentences, much more than 4 sentences. And then obviously a title. Okay? So for example, singing resistance, right? That's the name of the title for this. And then I have something along the lines of, singing resistance is a mass movement growing in America of people coming together in the streets and communities to sing and resist authoritarianism. We are grounded in love, nonviolence, and solidarity, and we sing to combat fear, yada, 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 right? That type of thing. Okay, so that is your description. The next thing you need, obviously, are the logistics. If there is a date, if there is a location, right? If there are multiple events, like those are what I mean by logistics. We need to have next a place to communicate. Where are you communicating with your people, especially if it is some sort of group event, which obviously it is, because if you're posting a flyer, then you're trying to get people to sign up, which means that it's going to be some sort of group event. So where are you communicating with them? Are you going to communicate via email? Are you going to, like in my case, I decided I'm going to use Telegram as the main form of communicating with this particular thing that I'm putting together, right? So where is that place that you're going to communicate, and what do you need to do to set that up? So if you are using Telegram, which I always love Telegram for so many different things. I use Telegram for my choir. I use Telegram for Voicepreneur program. I use Telegram for freaking everything. The group chat is where it's at because you get these different folders, right? And you can share multimedia inside of these folders. So that's really what I was setting up with the Telegram. I was creating that Telegram chat for this particular singing resistance chapter. So that's my place of communicating. And then last but not least, your call to action. This is really divided up into 2 different things. People are either going to join or they're going to sign up, right? And those, obviously people can join your membership by signing up, but think about join as being free and sign up as being not free. Okay, so join, what is the thing that they need to do in order to join? If it's for free, what I recommend always and forever are forms. I fucking love forms. I think it's because I minored in sociology. So everything we learned about was like forms and how to analyze forms and how to ask questions on forms and collect data. Collect that data, baby. So create a free Google form. All people need to have is their name, their email, their phone number, and some sort of consent, maybe a question or 2 if you want to throw that in there, if it's relevant to whatever your event is, but have some sort of form. This is so important because it creates seriousness with your audience, right? If you're just attracting Joe Schmo at the coffee shop who saw this flyer posted, you want to make sure Joe knows a thing or 2 about what we're doing here, right? Especially in my case, really important that I have some consent and I have some boundaries around this type of thing. It's important for every case, honestly. It really is. So a form is so great. And then if you are having people sign up, if it's going to be a paid for event, then really all you need for this is a checkout link. Checkout link, I could create a whole separate podcast episode on that. I'm not going to in this moment, but there's some things you need to put on that checkout link if you want that thing to work and to convert, right? Okay, so those are the things that you need in place for your flyer. The last thing I will say, and this one's a really fun one, is colors. Colors. So colors are really important for brand identification, for brand association. Even if you have 0 brand, like in my case, hello, I don't know what the Singing Resistance brand is. I mean, actually, I know they have a brand and I feel embarrassed that I haven't even looked at it, but I don't know what that is, right? Big Beautiful Noise Choir. We didn't have a brand when we came together, but what is a brand? A brand is literally what you make of it. And so what you are making of this from the get-go, the very basic way of making a brand and a brand association is with colors. So what I would recommend is picking 2 to 3 colors that really represent this particular thing. It does, like, this can totally coincide with your brand colors if you already have a brand, and you got that color scheme going on. Great. But I actually recommend that each offer have its own brand colors. I really do. And if you notice on the Voicepreneur account, little hot tip here, if you notice and you look very carefully, let's say on my Instagram stories or my story highlights, anytime I'm posting about different offers, they have different colors. Every course has a different color. Every offer I have has a different color, and I use those colors over and over again to create that brand association. So even if you have zero brand, it's just some sort of workshop, it's just something you're pulling together, great. Who cares? Pick out your 2 to 3 colors and use those everywhere. Use those everywhere. Okay. So that's really important because now you're going to go back to these 3 main things here. We have the link, the flyer, the email. So the flyer, this is where you're going to be using those colors, of course. And then the link, this one's really interesting because you might have a website and that's awesome. So creating links is really freaking easy to do. In my scenario, I did not have a website for this. I'm not going to build a website for this type of thing. I literally, in the most simplest form, I just need a Telegram chat where I can communicate with people and distribute the music, right? And then I need a place for people to sign up and be able to go through this form to be able to get into the Telegram chat, because you cannot come into the Telegram chat unless you have, gone through the form that I was talking about. So I used Linktree. So simple and free, right? It's like, I don't really need that much. I just need to have a Linktree that people can go to be able to fill out the form. So if you think about the whole process and how it all fits together now, I'm, staring at my flyer. So the flyer is the final result. Here it is. You can hear it in the background, right? And so what's on the flyer? There is a QR code. And on that QR code, there is a link to the Linktree. On the Linktree, there is a link to the form. There's also a link to, I think, perhaps the Instagram account of Singing Resistance so that you can understand what this all is, right? And then you can keep adding links from there on out if you want to. And so that's a really easy way if you don't have anything, but you still want to just create something, right? And you just want to make something for your community, go and use Linktree. And then it all kind of links together. And then you can email them however you want to after that. Here's the last thing I'll say. This is, let me remind you, such an easy way to get private students, to build a group workshop, to build a group online class, to build whatever you want. I could so easily, I didn't, but I could so easily on this, let's say Linktree, I could put a link on the Linktree that says, want to have voice lessons? Click here. Or want to come to the next voice class to learn how to sing? Click here, right? Like whatever I want as an offer, I could put that in the Linktree. I could put that in the email that I send out to everybody about this group. I could talk about this at the actual event. Right? I get people to sing at this rehearsal. We're all coming together at the park. We're singing together. We're having a great time. Maybe there's a part of the song that's a little bit tricky. And I could say something either in that moment as we're learning it, like, oh, this would be something that I would work on with a voice student. That's a way that you can sell voice lessons. Like you just seeded that, right? Or after that event, I could look at everybody and say, hey, if anybody wants to take their singing a step further, I am a voice coach and I do offer voice lessons. And I've got a couple of spots that I have, I do, Friday coachings or whatever. Or I am going to be offering a group class on how to sing next month. So come and, fill out this paper that puts your name and email if you want to be on the wait list, right? Maybe you can create your email list that way. Like, God, y'all, there's so many ways. There's so many ways that you can get loyal students, that you can be plugged into your community, that you can offer singing to the people who really want it and maybe just don't think about singing lessons or voice lessons in the way that you do, or they would, necessarily be going online and Googling for something like that. Like, The thing I like to think about with singing is that people need to experience it first in order to want it. Singing is a funny thing, y'all. It's really vulnerable, right? People, they need an experience like group singing or a group workshop or some sort of class or some sort of whatever that event is in order for them to even be vulnerable enough to experience it and then be like, ooh, this is kind of fun. Wow, I really like this. Maybe I should pursue this more. Right? I mean, that is how my choir started. That is how I have built everything I've built in my community in terms of voice lessons, offering group workshops, offering classes. Like I can literally and do offer all of these types of things in my community because people experience it. And when they experience it, they want more of it. And so your job as the business owner is to ask yourself, where am I leading my people? How can I gather people together? And then where do I lead them after that? And do it quickly. It's not hard. It's not hard. Literally do everything I told you in this episode. Go back and listen to it and take some damn notes. Go do the thing. It is so simple to make this thing happen. Pick a Saturday, pick a Wednesday, pick a whatever day. Do the workshop. Get your people singing. Be brave. Take the risk. It is so, so, so worth it because this is how people know that you exist. And this is how people know that singing is magic. Okay. Wow, that was fast. I just looked down and saw 21:21. So that's how I know this was good. Okay. I love you. I cannot wait to hear how this goes. Let me know on Instagram. I always love chatting with you on there at The Voicepreneur. And I hope that you have a freaking awesome, inspired rest of your day.